Welcome to Chaos Divided, your weekly dose of wholesome hammer, where we explore the hobby, the game, and the lore of Warhammer 40k. We're your hosts, Nurgle Snurgle and Blushing Noise Marine. If you're enjoying the podcast, don't forget to give us a follow. If you're a fan of what we do and want to support us, you can find the link to our Patreon in the episode description. Thank you to those who have joined us so far. This week, we're kind of touching on a very sensitive topic, aren't we?
A
little bit. And that is respecting your art. Respecting our art.
Well, it's also about respecting your art, too.
Exactly. And that's why I say, our, because it doesn't stop at with others. It's yourself as well. And
you know what? I think to maybe before we get into the quote, anyone who hobbies is an artist.
Yes.
This isn't a high-minded, only if you're so good should you be included in this. No. If you are a hobbyist in any way, shape, or form, you are an artist, and this is for you.
I love that you are saying that message.
I know.
Because I feel like that was me saying it to you, and now
I know.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What would you say to the old Laura? What would you say to episode 1 Laura about when she said, "I'm not an artist"?
Okay, well, episode 1, Laura had never painted anything cool, so episode 1, Laura didn't have a lot of confidence.
Right.
You know what? I think I would just say
doesn't day one count as being an artist?
Yes, it does. No, but it's just how I felt about it.
Okay.
I think part of it's just finding your own voice, and that's why we've done episodes finding your unique style and sharing your hobby with other people is talking about the fact that you don't need to find out how to paint the best. You need to find out how to paint your best.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm finding my best, and that's allowed me to see, and honestly also spending more time sharing my hobby with others and interacting with other people and seeing all the amazing things other people are doing has made me realize you know what? Yes, we all start somewhere, but we also all create cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all art, and it's all beautiful. And yes, there are some things that take your breath away, and there's some things that you're just wow, that's super impressive. But that doesn't mean that your first miniature, as I'm eating my words here, isn't also part of that process. And every super impressive thing you have ever seen started with that first chunky, drippy mini. So no, it's all art. It's all part of a process.
Yeah. I feel like it also gives you that smile when you can put that chunky model next to your most recent work, and you're that feels good.
Unlike Dr. Rhino, I still have my very first painted model.
He kind of did. There was only 6 months in between, and
he doesn't know which one it is anymore. Mine is I know where it is. It is on the shelf. It's not even the same scheme as the rest of my towel. It is easily identified, and I love it.
I have my first snargling in a vial on my desk.
In a vial?
Yeah, it was just a super glue vial, but it's I thought I lost him, and I accepted that I lost him because he's just a small nerdling, right? And then he just looked in the drawer.
You actually just called him a snurgling. I think, is it a little piece of you that you painted? Is that?
Did I say snurgling?
You actually said snurgling.
Oh no! I am Snurgle. Okay. To do the quote, so Blushing Noise Marine kind of was like, "Are you sure you want to say this quote?" I like it because it impacted me. It perked me up because it's oh, that's kind of true, and it can kind of work in the reversal. So you can shake 1,000 hands, but you'll always remember the one that slapped you. And again, it can be in the reverse where you can be slapped 1,000 times, but you'll remember the one that shakes your hand. So it's pretty dark. It's pretty don't know. I saw it in the comment section.
This is maybe going to be a hot take episode, just so we're all on the same page.
Yes. Thank you for that. Yeah, because we're going to be talking about like respect with others, respect with yourself, and like respect online as well.
That black morass we call the internet.
The World Wide Web.
Whoa, that's getting too old now. I wonder if kids these days even know that's what the WWW stands for.
Oh.
Ooh.
Take it to the streets.
We'll have to get our man on the streets who just asks random people questions.
You know what we should? No, we should get a woman on the streets and ask the public Warhammer terms. Get them to guess. Get them to guess like what is exterminatus? What?
You know what? Actually, okay, that would be an amazing
what
video.
Is the
you and I
golden
should just do that. We should just okay. I know we're talking about a podcast right now, but you and I should just do that. Go to like downtown Halifax, get your like camera and like put it on a tripod so that it looks official, and then just be like, we'll dress like super professionally, and then like be like, hey, would you like to be interviewed for a video? And people are like, oh, sure. And you're like, what's exterminatus?
Who are the Sisters of Battle? And I just want people to like give their best guess. Like it doesn't have to be accurate. Just tell me.
That'd be amazing. All right.
But do I want to do that in minus 10 degree weather? Not right now. No.
No. That's a spring project. But
okay, so
let's dig into this most important of topics.
Mm-hmm.
Respecting the art of Warhammer.
Ooh.
Dum, dum, dum.
Respecting Art Hammer?
We can't. Okay, we gotta stop just putting art in front of hammer. We gotta.
Okay.
Like, yeah. But so yes, respecting like, art hammer.
So, for the most basic of respecting others is respecting other people's models. I think is very important. And have you ever had your models disrespected?
Oh, most of it me, but.
No.
I'm the prime disrespecter of my models. Not really. I don't know. I definitely feel the burden of like touching other people's models though. Like I very much, and maybe it's because like I grew up with Warhammer at a time when kits did not fit as well together. So like models would, with a very little like effort, like explode apart. Like not just a like, oh, the gun fell off, like a like, wow, that splintered into multiple pieces because it was metal and plastic. So I very much have like I do not touch somebody's models unless they like if somebody's like, oh, can you pass me my models across the table? I'm like super gentle,
and then you like kind of bow to them, and
yeah, you're like
oh,
you scoop it up like a newborn baby, and you like pass it over,
and then you watch them just throw their orc boy into a Ziploc bag.
Then I take them and just like smash them into their box, and you're like, okay, that's your choice though.
Yeah.
But no, always ask. You always ask. And even then, like, I don't even usually ask. Like, I'm more of the, like, you bend down and you look, you don't pick up. I don't know if I've ever actually asked somebody to pick up their model.
Oh, no?
I can't. No, I'm more, like I said, I would rather bend down. Because then it's like, it's not my fault. If anything happens, it's also not my fault. Yeah,
that's true. I usually like, I don't mind people touching my models. I'm pretty rough with mine, so it's like, yeah.
Yeah, but yours are also like intimidatingly well painted, so there's also the like, do you want to be the one who like breaks off like Rodagus's like belly tongue? Like, no.
And I'd tell them I probably did that, or it was already broken, or it can be fixed.
No, it's true, but not everyone's this understanding either.
True. I would never want to like make someone feel bad if they broke my model.
Have you ever seen the look of utter devastation when some Eldar player breaks their own model and they realize it's going to be hell to put back together? That's the look of depression.
Yeah, the spindly bits. Oh my
Yeah.
god, I couldn't imagine.
You're like, oh, this is only the 17th layer of like super glue. I'm going to have to gently file off this like tiny sprig and then reapply and stand there for 15 minutes while it hardens. Yeah. So no,
Yeah.
that's why very much like treat them with, if you are going to touch somebody else's models, treat them with reverence, but also like ask for permission. I think that's a super, if you follow those guidelines, like nobody's ever going to have an issue with you.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I know.
let's get a little darker.
This is like an iceberg. We start off at the top, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna go underwater for a little bit, and kind of talk about like art thievery, and kind of like I've seen it in the community, and you also shared that WizKids did this.
Wizards of the Coast.
Wizards of the Coast. Oh, what did they do?
They got caught recently. They stole somebody's art for a Magic card.
Oh.
Yeah, they took somebody's artwork and then used that as the background, and they just like superimposed an image of someone onto the card.
Was this artist someone that drew like their own Magic cards? Or?
No, it was like it was an artist that like wasn't necessarily affiliated with Wizards.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know exactly how it happened, if another artist had stolen it and Wizards put it on the card. Like, I don't know the exact story off the top of my head. But I do know they got caught recently, like, having stolen somebody else's art. And it's also one of those, like, once you've put it on a card, you put it in packs everywhere. Like, you can't really undo it. And that's some of the struggle with this is, like, you can't really put it back in a box. Because once you've put it out there in any way, then, like, somebody has seen it that way, or it's on a website, or it's on a product, and then boom, 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 you've like, yeah, you can like change the website, take the product down, but it's still out there.
And the unfortunate thing is that piece of art is now tied to the struggle of getting it back to yourself. Like, you'll never not see that piece of art for what you originally intended for.
Yeah, and I think that's, when we talk about, like, you don't see it so much with Warhammer yet, because I don't think Warhammer's big enough. But when you see, like, there are copycat Etsy stores out there where people copy each other's art, and, like, you see it a lot in, like, visual arts and prints. People just, like, steal somebody else's work and then reproduce it. And it's very damaging. Like you said, it ruins the art for the artist, because it does. It ties you to that problem. But then you're also literally like, if people liked it enough to buy it, but then you're not supporting the artist, like, that's also...
Yeah, not crediting.
Yeah, well, and if you're making money off of it, like, and the artist isn't, like, that, it's literally theft.
Yeah. And that's just the unfortunate part when it comes to being an artist, is these things happen. And not only like have I seen it with art, but also even in work, in work life, how like the boss, the employer, and the employee dynamic, when my background being a chef, it is very artistic. We call it the culinary arts for a reason. And because it comes with a talent and a skill, and you use your skills and you use your talent, and there's some employers that just exploit that, and they manipulate, and it's damning, not only financially for the person, but emotionally and spiritually. So I think it's something that I want to talk about, because it's something that does happen, and helping others seeing it for what it is, and kind of like how they can react to it, and moving forward. Because myself, having gone through that, I could tell you that the first couple times, very heartbreaking. Like, it's soul crushing when you give it your all, and then in return is not the most kind thing. So it's myself talking to, whether that be my past self or the present person listening, or the future person. I'm hoping that they can help that artist to move on and recognize it, like I said, and that it's not their fault for it to happen as well.
Sometimes people just suck.
It's such an unfortunate truth. So I just
well, and to go back to your quote, it's the hand that slapped you that resonates. The 1,000 people that respect you and build you up and support you and see the value in what you do. It only takes one hand to take, their 5-finger discount.
And then that kind of leads into imposter syndrome and how one can feel about themselves. It all bleeds to within itself. So it's like also a warning to those who are exploiting other people. Just stop. Just don't.
Just don't.
Don't.
Don't do that.
It's not going to benefit you whatsoever.
Well, yeah, and it's the the quick buck. My background is in business, and the quick buck is never actually worth it. Mutual benefit, building yourself up alongside others, creating tangible relationships that benefit everyone. Those are what makes a business healthy and long lasting. So if you're sitting there being like, oh well, this is a pretty good opportunity, my friend doesn't know what their art's worth. If I were to just take a few of the photos they sent me and put it up on this print shop, I'm sure I can make a few bucks. And it's okay, well, if you see the value there, talk to them about it, work with them. If you're hey, I'll help you manage this, let's work together, then you both benefit. There's more to be gained in mutual benefit than there ever is in exploitation or stealing.
Exactly. And that's the point too, is like I said, if someone's considering going down that route, like you said, going the mutual route, working with each other, building each other up is more beneficial
for everyone. For
you, for me, for everyone.
For you and me and me and you and me. It's an old song.
Should we sing it at the jazz bar?
We'll sing it there as just That's Life. Yeah. That's going on the Chaos Divided play. We should make a Chaos Divided playlist. That'd be fun.
Do karaoke.
Ooh.
Chaos karaoke.
Good.
At the next major event.
Be good soup. No, at Chaos Con.
Yeah, exactly. At Chaos Con, we don't just play.
Together. We don't just play Warhammer. We also sing karaoke. But no, imposter syndrome. What's interesting? I've never really felt like imposter syndrome is something that I deal with. Because I know I'm trash, so I've never believed that I'm anything other than trash. But as I'm saying this, and the reason I bring this up is what I ascribe to self-doubt is imposter syndrome, or just self-deprecation, or what I would consider a realistic opinion of my own abilities. It's imposter syndrome.
And do you feel it lately?
No, I'm feeling better about things lately, to be honest. TBH.
You did feel your imposter syndrome.
But this is what I mean. I didn't think it was imposter syndrome. And I think that's part of the if we're talking about how to better respect yourself, is understanding the feelings you do have and what they are.
Yeah, I think I hadn't heard about imposter syndrome until like the last couple of years, and that's majorly due to like online presence. I think it was just like a common phrase that people could speak to one another and be like, ah, yes, I understand that. I perhaps have that as well.
Yeah. But I mean, imposter syndrome is like feeling like you don't belong.
Yeah.
Like
Well, you're going to be
imposter.
found out. Yeah.
And then
they're
like,
going to find me out.
You know, all of a sudden the wool is going to be pulled off of everyone's eyes, and they're going to be like, wait, you're actually terrible. As terrible as you think you are, we all actually agreed. You're awful.
Could you imagine if that was real? Like, just fear-inducing.
Right.
I can tell you that I've felt that for a very long time. I still, not that I feel like an imposter, I question, what am I doing here? Like, what got me in this spot?
Kaylee.
Yeah.
That's imposter syndrome.
I know. But I think it's like, I think I'm quicker to respond to it, be like, yeah, whatever. And just
that's part of the like the hurdle of like, you know, putting yourself out there in any way, shape, or form. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's always easier to critique than it is to create.
Yes.
And like when we talk about like good critics know how to constructively build people up and to like identify improvement. Yeah. So like there is room for criticism. I'm not saying like being a critic is like there's no space for that, because that's also how you improve. That's how we also like understand and, you know, break down something as complex as art into understandable language. Because like the music also struggles with the same thing. It's the words that we use to describe it are not the medium of the subject itself. Music can't be described with music in the same way that art can't be described with art. And that's where like understanding like the role of like criticism and, you know, creativity and education and learning all come together. But it's a hard balance to like find in your own head as to like what value you should put on all of those things, and also who you should listen to. Right.
Like we're in constant trying to find the reason why, and instead of just accepting that it is what it is. It is like
it is because it is.
Yeah.
But I think we also want to be better.
But why is it?
And I think the imposter syndrome also comes from like you can look at somebody who's better, who you feel is better than you. And
it's really hard not to see that constantly online.
Right? When you're on Instagram, like I can pull up my Instagram right now and find 70 models that look better than anything I'll ever do in my entire life.
The Instagram algorithm was already doing that for you.
Right? That's honestly, it's like impostergram. It's just like feeds you self-doubt and worthlessness.
And that is also finding that recognition that this platform does do that. It's like finding the power of how to manipulate the algorithm. Don't let it shape you, and just kind of recognize like it is purposely pushing this so that I can stay on. And there's a whole in-depth thing you can talk about, like especially with children on Instagram and the psychological aspects it has on people and how it makes you feel. And so it's understanding that power, take it, and just I still chalk it up that like I am just doing this for fun. I am doing this just to showcase my models, and that is it. I'm not trying to find the trend, trying to find the algorithm, trying to beat it, because you'll never beat it. You're fighting a computer. Like, that will be constantly changing. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, The Cube. It's a Canadian movie, and it's this experiment with quantum physics and stuff that where you can go into one room and then enter another one to enter another one. And it's just this constant rotating room puzzle. And these people start going through, and then they start going through like different time loops kind of thing. And that's kind of like the algorithm. It is constantly changing, constantly different timelines. And it's just like there to just confuse you. It's a game.
Now, I do want to go on a tangent.
Oh.
Because I do. It's not that far of a tangent.
Okay.
You know what's one of my pet peeves?
Okay.
When people don't compliment each other's models at the table.
At the table.
There's always something you can point out about somebody, and you don't know how that's going to help them. Mm-hmm. So you should do it anyways.
Yeah.
And so don't be like patronizing. Don't be like, oh, your arm is so beautiful, and it's like half of it's gray.
But you compliment how they built the army. Like, oh wow, you got all the mold lines. I don't see any glue. That's so nice.
Not being able to see any glue. That's impressive. But yeah, there's always
more like I love the direction that you're headed.
Yeah, I love the colors, like the color choice. I love what you're doing with it. I love like the whatever they've done. Like there's always somebody has always done something interesting with a model. Take the time to appreciate it.
And that can be for online as well.
Yeah,
because we're all out here trying our best.
I mean, that one gets a little hard. Like, I'm not going to expect you don't leave a comment on every single picture you see, because that's just going to, like, drive you nuts after a while. But, like, when you see the thing that you're like, you know what? They did a good job with that. Or, like, oh, you know what? I saw something they did a month ago, and this looks so much better. Like, I see that. Like, tell somebody that. Say the positive thing.
Right.
It's harder to pause for the positive, but it's so much more meaningful.
Even complimenting their, like you said, their progress. Yeah. And that you recognize it. And that, like, hey, a couple weeks ago, you were just bare, and now you've added color. Love the color choices that you went down. Yeah.
It means a lot for people to, like, get the positive feedback. Because you also don't know, like, some people live in communities where there's a lot of other players. They get a lot of feedback. But you've also got people that are in, like, a small town. Maybe they're the only person they know that plays Warhammer. And, like, Instagram or YouTube is, like, their outlet for community. And, again, you don't know how it's going to brighten somebody's day when you're like, you know what? You done good, kid.
What, me?
Yeah.
Although sometimes some reactions to that is their imposter syndrome coming out, where it's like, oh, I'm not that good, or like,
so this is why it wasn't that far of a tangent, Kaylee. It's all interweaving. It was all one topic.
So I think it's also, if you do receive that compliment, say thank you. It may feel a little, like, strange to do at first, because, like, yes, I've been there where it's like your first instinct is like, it's not good enough, it's not done, it's not perfect. But simply saying thank you, because that person's also taking their time to compliment, to observe, to look at your stuff. And that's a great feeling. And a simple thank you goes a long way.
Absolutely. So it's part of building up that, like, positive, healthy community. And we've talked about that a lot of times in a lot of different ways. But I think the heart of, like, what we're trying to talk about today, and I know there's some, like, darker parts of this that we're bringing up, but it's really building a community that, like, values and appreciates the art within itself in, like, a constructive way. Because there's a lot of, like... negativity out there.
Yeah, it's not just simply like, oh, Warhammer, that place with all these great artists. It could also be, oh, Warhammer, where all the artists are, like, uplifted by one another and they support each other.
The way Dr. Rhino talked about Twitch streamers supporting each other is what I want a whole community to be like all the time.
Yes.
Now, you have a little bit more experience with this than I do. You've been online a little bit longer than I have. But what would you like to see from a more respectful online Warhammer community?
What do I want to see?
Mm.
Less negative comments. There's once in a while, I don't know why, but there will be an account that will pop up and will hop to and from, like, especially female accounts, and just berate these women and find flaws and try to bring them down. That needs to end. This, and luckily, like, sometimes it like, the one thing that I have seen when that does happen is, like, the whole community will rally up and will want to, like, oust this person and get rid of them. But I'd like to see that not happen whatsoever. But I understand, like, this is the internet. You can't, like, control or have people not do that, because some just will.
Yeah, I don't think you can get rid of it entirely, but
No. But I like how it is responded to. It's not just ignored, or it's not just like, it's harassment.
yeah, and it's not cool.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I think we wanted to kind of touch on is that it's not always felt equally by everyone. And that is also something in this community that I think we need to deal with. Because as Warhammer has gotten more diverse, and as more people come into the community, they come into the hobby, they want to play the game, there's no room for that type of, like, discrimination and mistreatment of people, because it lessens us all. The community is less vibrant by pushing people out. Gatekeeping, any type of that behavior just makes us all worse.
I do love that there's a change, though. Like, obviously, I wouldn't quite know to full extent, but I do listen to stories of how it used to be, or you and I talked about this, how a lot of war games were just played by men and not so much women. And now there's, like, the huge insurgent of women coming in and showing their skills and showing their tactical game, and it's wonderful to see.
Absolutely.
It's like we're breaking the siege.
And honestly, you know what? When like, we have talked about this, not necessarily on the podcast before, but, you know, when I started getting into Warhammer, like, you know, if a woman walked into, like, a Games Workshop store, like, they were politely but firmly asked to, like, what their purpose was and, like, when they were moving on. Like, it was like the presumption that they were there by choice and that they, like, had anything to do in that store was not really, like,
Not
assumed.
even a thought.
No.
Wow.
So it's, and, like, you know, this would have been 15 years ago now, but, like, yeah, it was gross then. And, you know, hopefully wherever you're listening from, things have gotten better now. Like, you know, even, like, when we look at, like, our audience, like, a lot of our audience are women, and, like, to me that's very inspiring that there's that many, like, women tuning in every week and listening to us talk. And it shows how many women are interested in Warhammer. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of online spaces sometimes, not everybody and not even most people, but there's those few that just kind of, like, taint it.
Yeah, and they usually try to attack the more well-known female voices, because for whatever reason they feel like fighting giants.
Well, if you can beat down them, then that just kind of, like, crushes everyone else beneath them simultaneously, right? It's just efficiency at that point. That's
but
just
it's not going to work, right, Laura?
troll.
Well, it's not going to work.
No,
They
it's not
can't
going to
silence us.
No, and part of it is like, you know what? When you're at your local game store and somebody's talking about stuff like that, just like be like, "Hey, that's not cool."
Yeah. It's
Or
an
you
it's,
see it.
it's an easy shutdown. Like if someone is trying to go after someone because of their gender or their race, easy shutdown. Not allowed. Nope, not here. Out. There's the door.
Right?
Find your own basement. Like, gross.
Right? Get out of here. Go back from whence you came.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think like, and I think part of it is like it has shifted, but I don't think that means it's like entirely gotten to where it needs to, because you still see it. You see the negative comments. You see, you know, even though it might be buried amongst a bunch of positive comments, like I said, that single slap can be enough to just like
You remember it.
ruin your day or dissuade you from doing something. And you know what I worry about is like, you know, the person who has just mustered up the courage to go to their first like RTT or their first hobby night, or you know, they are finally going to put something into like a painting competition for the first time, and they're all excited, and then they get the one comment of like, wow, you're real trash, like you don't know what you're doing at all, and they just like lose all their confidence.
Yeah, 1 out of 10. Nope, passing on. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and like, and then it denies everyone else the opportunity to see the work and the love and the creativity they put into something. And like I said, and that's how, because if it, you know, one by one, it lessens us all.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the internet, it can happen constantly.
Yeah, and because like even posting online is brave.
Yeah.
Like that's courageous to do. You're
You're
putting
like
yourself
inviting
out there.
criticism.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully it's not at your doorstep.
Yeah. And you just block everyone. Anyone says anything rude, just block them.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. How Lawrence like block. You are blocked from the world.
Boom, block.
Enjoy your own echo
Unsolicited
chamber.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for your opinion. Get out.
This kind of ties in with like being on Play On recently.
Were you on Play On recently? I didn't know.
Yeah, you should check out the video.
You should. If you're listening to this, check out an absolutely beautiful game of Warhammer.
Okay, so this was stated. Okay, I felt this. I was like, I don't know about the comments. Being on such a big platform is nerve-wracking, I think, for anybody. I'm pretty sure Tack and Nick felt very nervous their first video. And so I was kind of contemplating what to do about the comments. I've known that like through YouTube research, the comments and they'll be bad. And I remember at the dinner with Tanya, Mubin, Dr. Reno, you and myself, it was a big, don't read the comments. Do not read the comments. And it was pretty hammered in. I was like, okay, maybe Laura, you read the comments for me. Like, I can't.
Did you listen to that for even a second, though?
I considered it, yeah.
Okay.
I did. Okay. I think I was, you know what, honestly, for like that time, I felt like, okay, you know what, I won't read the comments. I felt kind of relieved with that thought the moment that video came out, and we were watching it live on the premiere and then seeing the chat. I was like, I instantly started reading the comments. And I'm so glad that I did, because there has been a huge outpouring of love for that video, and it's fantastic to see how it could be shaping women in Warhammer.
And I think the thing is that shouldn't be a surprise.
Right. Because I was like, on the edge of my seat. Every single comment, every single refresh, I'm like, here it comes. This is going to be the moment that I'm going to receive this comment, and how am I going to react to it? I was waiting for it.
But even Mupin told you not to read the comments, and I would imagine he has sifted through a fair few, and it shouldn't, like I said, it shouldn't be shocking that it was nice, that it was a good comment section, because we should be treating each other that way all the time.
Exactly. Now, was it perfect? Nuh-uh. There was a couple rough ones.
I'd say.
But I'm thinking of the 1,000 handshakes, because when it comes to that one slap, again, you don't know this person, you don't know who that person is behind the screen. Are they worth keeping in your mind for the rest of the day? No, not even a fraction.
And you know what? I think that to continue with the metaphor, that's why it's so important to still have the 1,000 handshakes. Because if there was the same number of negative comments and just silence, they would be deafening.
Right.
But it's because it's amongst that wave of kindness and positivity and excitement that it doesn't feel like it stings as much, because you have so much building you up that they can't tear you down.
Yep. Yeah. They get lost in the noise. And the noise is cheers and excitement.
And if there's anything a blushing noise marine loves,
it's noise.
The adulation of the crowd.
Can you hear us over this noise?
Give me more noise. Are you not entertained?
Now I'm kind of hoping that this is because, yes, Ruben did give that warning, and we've heard the warning from Tanya as well. Unfortunately, she is, as Dr. Rhino shared last week, just that story between the contrasting comments between those two, where he can get like the schnookums, you got a little wrong, it's okay, little baby, you'll do better next time. And then Tanya's just like, no reason whatsoever, lambasted.
How dare you make this obscure and minor detail of a rule in wrong in a thing where it doesn't even affect the outcome of the game.
Plus, women? What?
SJW?
But like I said, she is that spearhead. Yeah. She took the first blow, and God bless her heart. she's still here.
That's why Tanya just needs, some people to mend those shields, because she's been battered and beating her way through.
She needs the noisiest army,
right? But it's true, and I don't think you can separate the fact that Dr. Rhino goes on as a guy playing Warhammer, and people are like, oh, we all make mistakes, but part of sexism is that men don't see themselves as women, so they don't see them, they don't relate as easily, so they don't see themselves in that situation. They're like, well, I would never make that mistake, as if everyone doesn't make mistakes playing. Warhammer is so complicated, you can intentionally do everything perfectly and just make some minor technical issue that someone can find fault with. Nobody plays Warhammer perfectly. This is why I never use the term somebody plays Warhammer perfectly. I say somebody plays clean, because they play with an intention to play the game right. And when they make mistakes and somebody notices, they correct them. That's a clean player in my mind. But nobody's a perfect player. You know what? I'll go out and say it. I don't even know if Fulgrim could play Warhammer perfectly.
Even his clone Grim?
Even neither.
Wow.
And Fulgrim is the most perfect of Primarchs.
That's the hottest of tanks of the entire...
I don't know if Zinj could play Warhammer perfectly.
Well, he's constantly changing it.
Exactly. You'd be like, oh, well, just
You know what? It's perfect. It has to be imperfect, so it will never be perfect.
I thought flamers were strength 16. You couldn't convince me otherwise. Weren't they always that?
I think you kind of mentioned before. Don't cheat. Also,
No, don't cheat. Don't cheat yourself. Don't cheat others.
yes.
You know, maybe we'll do an episode about that someday.
Yes, I like that. Don't cheat yourself.
Yeah.
Don't cheat others.
Well, no, like the goal is to play a clean game, and like even just thinking about like how are you going to tell somebody? Like, I played a game this weekend, and somebody had like said like, oh, that's not how that rule works, but they'd also said that they'd played the faction before, like that. So I was like, you know what? I don't normally go back to people afterwards and be like, hey, actually you got that rule wrong. But I was like, you know what? In this case I did, because they played the faction. I was like, hey, like, here's why you were wrong. And like next time you play, like that way you can play your faction better. And it's actually like to their benefit if they play that way.
Yeah. And
so
it's
like,
also, it doesn't just stop with them as well. It also, from them continuously telling other people the wrong rule, it's they can now correct other people, because perhaps they were told of that rule, or they heard that that's the ruling.
And that's where, like, you know, but I took it from a positive position. Like, it wasn't just a like, you got this wrong and that, like, blah blah blah. It was more just like, hey, just as a heads up, I know you also play this faction, like, I went back and looked, and like, here's why that works the way that I thought it did, not the way you thought it did. And like showed the part of the rules commentary, just so it wasn't just like me talking out of my Slanesh hole. And you know, there we go.
That's so dirty. Don't ever say Slanesh hole again.
You know what? I'm just I've decided, rather than having to do it in post-production, I'm going to start censoring myself, and all of the swear words have equivalent chaos gods, so you can go back and figure out which ones they are.
But like you touched on something that could also be talked about, is like the response to respect and disrespect. Like how you respond to others matters, and how you respond to yourself matters, and how you respond online.
I try to never get upset when somebody does criticize me, because it's usually coming from, it's not always coming from a place of good intent, but it often is. That somebody thinks they're being helpful, or they think they're doing something nice, or they think they're doing something positive. So there is a certain amount of like not getting upset yourself also better puts you in a position to be like, hey, that's not cool. Like, I don't really appreciate that. And then you're at least like still able to talk about it, because if you're just like, oh, that's awful, why would you ever say that, then like you have shut down the conversation and nobody's going to learn anything.
State of mind is so important.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there's obviously limitations. If somebody's like absolutely just throwing vitriol at you, like, just warrants it. Bam, gone. Don't exist anymore, get out.
Yeah.
But like, if somebody's like, you know, they think they're being nice, and you're like, hey, I don't like actually appreciate this isn't kind what you're doing. And then it's up to them as to how they respond. Yes,
it's the whole ball in their court kind of thing. And then if they respond in a way where you're like, that is disrespectful, then it's like, okay, you have your answer, you cut your ties, and you go separately.
That's when then bam, block again. You wish you could block people in real life sometimes.
But then, like we were talking about response with like yourself, don't block yourself.
No.
You can block those demons though, those inner demons.
The block the inner demons?
Yeah.
But would we be chaos divided without demons inside of us?
It's just recognizing those demons. We can't
block our demons. Yeah. Everyone else should block their
demons. Just know the true name of your demon, and you can control that beast.
Ooh, the Fulgrim approach.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, we're not going to turn this into a lore episode.
It's so easy to do.
so easy. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know about you, but I don't think I want to make this a 3-hour episode.
No, I think this is like a good quick
Yeah.
chat about it. And
I mean,
just...
a quick hour-long chat between us. This is... But no, I think, like, honestly, like, it seems common sense of, like, just be nice to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, we'll all be better off. But I don't know. A lot of this, like, when we talk about imposter syndrome, like, that's being mean to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, imposter syndrome can also manifest negatively. Like, if you see somebody who's, like, super confident, you're like, well, I'm better than them and I think I'm garbage. That's how that, like, negatively impacts others, when you're like, you think this is good? Like, I'm better than you are and I'm terrible, and you write that in a comment.
Yeah, I could do that better. Yeah.
Oh, I would have done it this, and this way.
Why did you do it that way?
And, like, so that's, like, your imposter syndrome, like, affecting someone else. So, like, part of it is, like, you know, learning to respect yourself, learning to respect others. Like, respect that you're an artist. Every person who picks up a paintbrush and puts paint on a model is an artist. Everyone who takes a bit of glue and puts two plastic things together is an artist. So respect yourself like an artist.
Even dreamers, even people who think of it in their mind, you are creating this world artistically.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of don't fall in the lines of, like, not everyone's an artist. I don't believe that whatsoever. I think everybody has the capability of being an artist. It's just in different fields.
Yeah. I agree.
We're builders, that we create.
We are creative people by nature.
Mm-hmm. Any final words?
I've been noisy enough tonight.
More
noise, more positivity. Okay, you know what?
Yes.
I've come up with a motto for myself, and it is: I'm seeking the decadence of positivity.
Ooh,
That's the motto for Blushing Noise Breen.
That makes me want to go out to, like, a nice coffee shop that has, like, the fudgiest brownies, the chewiest cookies, and it just jazz playing in the background, and you're like, this is the decadence of positivity, and everyone's just like,
and everyone's just nice to you. Everyone just says all the nicest things to each other.
We're all creating our own different types of art, and
it's all just, like, wonderful, and that's what I'm seeking. I'm seeking the decadence of positivity. So I'm gonna eat it all up. Wow. And do you have any last thoughts?
Oh, it's that I can't follow up on that. That was a good.
Done good this week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to Chaos Divided, both where you're listening from and on Instagram and YouTube at Chaos Divided 40K, which is also now where you can find the podcast because it's uploaded automatically. So it's up to date there if YouTube is your preferred channel. And you can find us both on social media at Nurgle_Snurgle and at Blushing Noise Marine. And we hope you check out our Patreon. If you're a fan of what we do and want to support us, you can find the link in the episode description. And until next time, bye-bye.
Ciao. For now.